Okay, good morning. I say good morning because today is June 17th and it is in the morning and I am in my hot garage. I was hoping to get started earlier in the morning so it didn't get hot, but looks like that's not the case. So today we're going to be working on some test loads. If you look at my notebook here, I decided to make 4 test loads of these various grades here of bullseye. And I will be testing basically making 5 rounds for 6 different pistols, and then I will be actually additional 20 rounds for another type of bullet, which is going to be a jacketed hollow point. I've already completed 100 prime shells that have been sized and primed. I'm going to continue with additional I think it's going to be 25 I think 25 rounds for the jacketed hollow point, but I will be decapping, sizing, expanding the belling them, if you know what I mean. And then I'm going to start using the new priming system that I have. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and just go through how to size the 9mm shell, resize the 9mm shell, decap, bell it for the bullet to be seated, and then prime it. I will go further into adding the powder and so forth. Okay, basically for this setup we're going to be using 3 dies. We're going to use a decapping die, and then we're going to use a resizing die. Resizing die will do both, but I like to decap and resize separately. And then we're going to be using the undersized 9mm sizing die. And then the final part will be the expander powder die, which basically gives the mouth of the case a little expansion so we can see the bullet correctly. And like I said, I've already done 100, so we're only going to do about 20-25, and then we'll go ahead and prime them. Okay, so we're going to start off with decapping and decap resizing. I already realized that I had some already. They were already decapped and resized and belled. So let me go ahead and set it up on my mount and we'll get started. Okay, go ahead and excuse the angle, but I think you're going to get the gist of it. Over here we got the decap, and over here we got the resizing die. So basically when you're going through doing the shell prep, you're gonna like I said before, you're gonna decap and resize. I like to do decapping separately because sometimes I'll get primers that are stuck in there pretty good, and that way I don't damage my my resizing die and have to readjust the decap pin. But if I've already decapped it, the decap pin on the resizing die shouldn't get affected. So here we're going to decap. And then we'll move it over to resize. And we're going to do about 5 of them. I'm not going to sit here and have you watch me do all 50 of them. What resizing does is it pretty much brings the shell down to its original dimensions. And of course, decapping removes the spent primer. Oh, I need to set a bucket up for catch the primers. on a indexing type of press. If you watch any of my other videos, I have a square deal. That was designed to make mass quantity loads. On that one, you're going to have the stages indexing. I'll give an example of that at the end of the video. Alright, that's it for those 5 cases. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the remaining cases, and then we'll move on to the powder expander die. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the expander powder funnel, powder die. Now, if you look at here, this is the powder die and expander. Normally, if you were using a powder, which I'm going to show you what that is right now, you would add it to the die here, and then it would expand it and powder at the same time. Okay, it's just an example. This is pretty much a powder dispenser, and as you can see, it's threaded right here. So that would attach here, and here's another one. See, I have these labeled for the measurements they dispense. And this is your basic device where you add the so forth on there. These type of powder drops, powder dispensers are very effective. Depending on the powder used, I've noticed that with some of the rifle powder that I've used from some of my rifle loads, if you go back to some of my videos, they do leak. So I'm no longer using these for that particular powder. Actually, now that I got my square deal, I'm actually no longer using these. But I think I'm still using these for 40 and 357. That's to be determined. I got a new powder dispenser, which I'll show later on in the video. But let's go ahead and get these cases expanded. So basically what case expansion does is it opens up the very tip of the case so that you can seat the bullet. You can tell the difference between these two at the lip, where this one is a little bit, let me see if I can get it focused in. It's a little bit expanded here on the top. That allows you to seat the bullet without having to crush, without the seater crushing the shell. So that's what this die does. It pretty much expands the mouth of the case so that you can seat the bullet. So we're going to go ahead and do another 5 shells there, and then I'll do the additional cases offline, and then we'll move on to powdering. You have to excuse the camera wobbling so much, but I'm on my bench, and my bench is moving the camera stand. It's as simple as that, but like I said, if you had a powder dispenser here, it would expand it and dispense the powder in there also. And I have to apologize, I just realized that the next stage is actually priming, which will move to the other side of the bench, not powdering. Normally when you would powder, you would have already primed the cases. I just kind of skipped a little step here so that if you were to be powdering right now without any primers, the powder that would come out of the bottom of the case. So next we're going to go to priming. We'll just prime a couple of shells. I'm going to finish up expanding these, and then we'll move to priming them. Okay, so at this point we have decapped, resized, and expanded the shells. And I did a count right here, so apparently we have a total of 60 shells right now. It's about 60 shells. So I'm only going to be using 60 primers to load on these. I'm guessing that my logic initially was that I was going to build, let me move the folder because you can't see anything. I was going to initially build 4 loads at this grain, but I was actually going to push one additional load for the jacketed hollow points to make it into a plus P. When I get to 5.0 and 5.1, those will be the 2 plus P loads for the jacketed hollow point, and that's going to be the additional 5 loads for the jacketed hollow point, as opposed to the 4 loads for the standard round nose. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and just do 60 primers. Let me get this one open. If I'm not careful, I end up spilling this thing all over the place. I end up losing a bunch of primers. And primers are not cheap right at this point. I think when I bought these were at $10. Okay, so there we got 50. So right there we got 60. Now when you set this one up, you got to make sure that they're face up. And I think that's, well, just one more. This one right there. And close it up. Lock it right on. Lock. Okay. Let me move the camera so that you can see the priming system. Yes, ma'am. Alright, so at this point in the video, I'm going to have to apologize. I received a phone call. I thought I had paused the video. I didn't. So when I went back to review it and edit it, I pretty much recorded my whole conversation with my wife, and I didn't record priming. But in a nutshell, pretty much the priming system works. Primer's filter down here. They get locked in here. You put the shell in, you push the primer in. Very effective system, as opposed to the other one where, I mean, this one works, don't get me wrong. This is a good system also, but this is an easier system. It doesn't provide very much pressure and so forth. It's easier on the hand, easier on the thumb with this one here, with the hand press. But at this point, I'm going to take a short break. Not that you'll notice on the video, but we've already got all the cases resized, primed, and expanded. And we're going to go ahead and set up the powder dispenser over here on this side, and then we'll move forward. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick water break, which of course you'll not notice, but I'll be back. Okay, so now we're moving on to the powdering phase. Just want to go over a couple of equipments because we're going to be doing powder and seeding. So, case prep is done. They are resized, primed, and expanded. And we're going to be working with Bullseye. This Bullseye I've had for a while. It's still good, but I want to finish it up. I did buy some other powder, which I will talk about later on the video. What I will be using is this scale, the GS 1500, which I've had for many years. It's an excellent scale. And this is a new powder measure that I purchased probably about a year ago. Mainly because I was having issues with the Lee powder dispensers with certain powders. So I went ahead and purchased this one to give it a try. So I'm going to use this one for measuring the powder and dispensing the different types of powder loads. I have removed the sizing die and decap die, and I have set up 2 resizing dies. These particular dies are from Lee's speed dies, which they are no longer being made, but these dies are excellent because they have all the features of the stages of reloading in one particular die. You can take them apart, and it has the decapping, it has a resizer, and it has a seat. It doesn't have the expander though. The expander will be separate, but you can pretty much do everything with this particular die, which I said that, just like I said, they don't make them anymore, but I have 2 of them because I was doing I had been doing single stage for so long before I went ahead and bought my Dillon press, that these worked out very efficiently in certain settings. So we've got pretty much everything set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the powder dispenser, make sure to get it set up, and then we'll start on this again. Okay, so I added some bullseye to the dispenser, but you can see it's dispensing a lot of powder, so I'm going to have to readjust this. Give me a minute or two. I'm going to go ahead and adjust it where it's at least at 4.5, I think, or 4.6, and then we'll get started again. Okay, so we got it set up at, you can see right there, 4.6. So I'm not going to go through the whole process, but basically we're going to just dump powder into the shell, and then we'll put it on the dies and reload. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up the dies for the correct length, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate those. It's a little bit different on there. You do have to use a spent case and a bullet. Make sure you get the correct seating depth, because I'm going to be using one of these for round nose and the other one for the full metal jacket. I mean, the jacket at hollow point. And then I'm going to be doing basically load all the shells with the powder measurement, and then go ahead and seat the bullets, and then adjust it again for the next measurement, and then so forth until we're complete. I want to go through the whole process. For all the rounds, we'll do just maybe 5 of the initial 4.5 grains, and then I'll finish all the other ones, and then we'll talk about the rounds at the very end. Okay, for these test loads, I'm going to be using the Extreme Bullets 115 grain round nose, and also the Sierra 115 grain jacketed hollow point. Now, what I normally like to do is I like to get at least 4 cases or 5, and leave the primers in, and go ahead and use 1 or 2 bullets to seat in these cases. I can always pull the bullets later. To dial the seating stem down far enough so we can get the correct seating depth, I like to start off with a live round, just to get the depth for the overall length, and then we can adjust it after that. Okay, so I'm going to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So you get pretty much a live round, and the reason you want to use a factory round is because it's pretty much to specs of the 9mm, which I believe is 1.169 overall length that can fit in the magazine. If you get it longer than that, you're going to have issues with putting it in the magazine. You're going to have issues with the chambering. So you get a factory round, and you go ahead and raise up the bar, and go ahead and tighten down the seating stem until it touches. Let me get this, let me lock this, get the lock ring down good. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to put the die down a little bit more. The stem wasn't even touching. Hold on. This is learning how to adjust dies. Lock the ring down. Get back up. Still not touching. Let me see how far this is down actually. So adjusting the seating stem is okay. I can tell right there because the lever was actually moving, so it's touching the top of it. So let me bring it back a little bit. Tighten down lock ring for the stem, and I think we're good right there. So let me get one shell and one round, and then we'll do the measurements on that. Okay, so with one bullet and one shell, we're going to go ahead and seat it. Now this one does not have any powder because all we're doing is adjusting the seating for this bullet. So you put the shell in, you put the bullet on top, you want to raise the ramp and seat the bullet. Simple as that. So in the past, I have loaded these rounds before, and I've kept an example of the correct seating, and it is a 1.150. So we'll go ahead and measure the one that we just sat, and we'll see whether or not we're at the right adjustment. And my dial caliper just broke, so we are at 1.50. So we can leave it there for the round nose. Just verify. We can leave it there for the round nose, where we're going to be at 1.150. Next thing is to get your case gauge and make sure that it drops. Oh, the other side. And this one's having some issues. It's probably the crimp on it. The other case gauge, yeah, it's going to be the crimp. So I didn't crimp it. So we're going to have to do crimping at a separate stage, because these are only going to be seating. And we'll worry about that. I'll set up a crimp die on the other press. So that's going to be an additional stage. In most cases, when you're looking at a progressive press, you're going to have those 4 stages. You're going to have the resized decap, powder die, seating die, and your crimp die. This was not feeding the case gauge because of the flare on there, but we got the correct seating depth. So the next one we're going to do is do the full metal jacket. Okay, so the next one we're going to be adjusting is for the Sierra bullet. So I had to go back and find my manual for 9mm load data, and we're going to be working with this particular one. So you can see that the overall length for the jacket hollow point is actually 1.051, which is under the 1.150 that we had for the round nose. So we're going to use the measurements for this one first, and then we're going to dial it down little by little. Okay, so we're going to do it for this die here. This is going to be for the jacket hollow point, and let's go ahead and put the live round in there, and we're going to bring it up. Start dialing down the we'll move the lock ring until we see the lever move. Alright, so we're good right there. The lever moved a little bit, so we can lock it. We can just turn it a little bit because we're going to further lock it down. And so we're going to go ahead and get one round of the full metal jacket. And we're going to keep dialing it down until we can get the correct measurement. Should have brought my razor with me because I'm having trouble cutting into the box. Okay. Check it out, hollow point, shell. No, dropped it. Okay, so at this point we are at 1.120. So it's down, going down and down just a little bit more. Like I said, just went in just a little bit. So we're looking for, what did I say? 1.150. Okay. So now we're down to just about 1. Just about 1. I'm sorry, you didn't see it there. Just about 1. Down just a little bit more. Okay, we still need to keep going. Okay, still got a little bit more to go. We're tapped out. I need to put the die in further. Okay, we still need a little bit more to go. We need about less than 1/8 of an inch. It's taking a little bit longer than expected. Yeah, I'm going to mess with it a little bit more, then we'll come back to it. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected. Okay, so I got it at 70, which I'm satisfied with at 70. I don't want to seat it anymore because the pressures will build. I think at that point it'll still chamber. It is below the 1.169, and the online I looked it up. It says it's 1.050. So I think at 1.070 is good enough. So we're gonna go ahead and start powdering the shells. And like I said, I'm only gonna do a couple at 5.5, and we'll go ahead and just move. After that, we'll move to the crimping, and then I will finish those offline. But before that, I'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of difficulty. The powder dispenser is not being very consistent. It's giving me 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 when I measure the loads. So I'm gonna have to change my strategy where I'm gonna have to load what it is set for right now, which is roughly 4.5 to 4.7, and then I'll adjust it where I can get maybe 4.8, 4.9, so forth. So I'm actually gonna probably just do 2 loads, give or take, instead of separating them by 2 grains, because like I said, this power dispenser is not being very consistent. So let's go ahead and do the seeding, and for the first batch, which would be the 4.5, 4.6 batch, and then we'll go ahead and go do the crimping, and that'll pretty much be the end of the video, and I'll do everything offline for the remaining loads, test loads. So without further ado, let's get that started, and we're going to go ahead and do initially 10 shells with the 4.5 load. Okay, so at this point we have loaded 30 shells with the 4.5, 4.6 measurement. Like I said, this part of the measurement is not very consistent with bullseye. And we have some bullets over here. So we're going to go ahead and load the full metal jacket first, and then we'll do the jacket of hollow point next. Actually, I'm not going to do that one. I think you pretty much got the idea. Then we'll go ahead and move on to well, crimping these, and then we'll be done, and then I'll just talk about it a little bit more at the end of the video. So we're only going to do about 5. As soon as I do these 5, I'll go ahead and finish up the other 25, and then we'll move to the crimp die, so we can set that one up, because I'm going to have to do the jacket of hollow points different on the crimp die. Oh, forgot to add a bullet, dumbass. Alright, so that's 5. And we'll go ahead and move to the crimp die, set that one up. Alright, so that's 5 rounds right there. Still need to be crimped. Remove the bell. That way we can go ahead and try them on the case gauge and make sure that they work. So on the crimp die, basically what the crimp die is doing is go ahead and fold these. It's kind of folded these engine. It's a tapered crimp. It's not a I forget what the other type of crimp is, but you use that for like 38s and 357 magnums. There's actually a colander on the round where you actually fold the brass in so that you got no forward or backward movement of the bullet in the case. On a tapered crimp, you're basically just going to push it in. So I already set up the crimp die, and I am using a factory crimp die by Lee. So basically the way you set this one up, you put the round in there and you bring it up. And you tighten it down until right there it feels it. Back off the lever. Tighten down the lock ring. And right there it should crimp. And then once it crimps, we'll go ahead and test it in the case die. And we're good on the case die. I'm gonna apply a little bit more crimp on there. Just a little bit. And then we got, that's on that case die. And this case die works out great too. So we are good. Now this is the example round. It's not the live round. So we'll set that aside. So we're good for the, I'm going to have to set the crimp die up on another press. And we'll figure it out. that's going to be pretty much the end of how to do loads. In regards to these, were pretty much test loads. But I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, finish everything up, and then I'll do a little bit of discussion after I'm done. Okay, so at this point I've made the very first 25 round batches. Yeah, 25 round batches. I'm going to go ahead and box them up, and I created a label for them with the information on there. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do the test loads, but so we got one load here, and like I said, because of the dispenser not being consistent on the loads, I might just make 3 loads instead of the original 4. So I'm going to move to what was this, 4.5, 4.6, so I'll probably go to 4.7, 4.8 on the next load. So that's going to be pretty much the end of the video, with the exception of me discussing a little bit more. Thank you for watching. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the video. Hopefully I provided good information on basically how to reload a 9mm round, the different stages. I've put the full metal jackets away in a bag because I got to crib them separately. So I'm going to make sure that I know the difference. I've already boxed up the 25 rounds full metal jacket for the 4.5, 4.6 load. So moving forward, like I said, we're going to do 4.5, 4.7. So we're going to move to 4.7, 4.9, and then so forth. We do those offline. I'll go ahead and do a video on me shooting at the range with these 5 different pistols. I want to get a separate load or a combined load for each pistol. I'm in the process of loading somewhere around 3,000 rounds, and I will be doing that on the square deal, which will be a separate video. But if I can do maybe 200 or 300 rounds for each pistol, that it's accurate, I'll be satisfied with that. Pistols are different, and if you can build a custom load for your pistol, it makes things a little bit more easier. Some of this stuff, some of these rounds I will be taking out to IDPA if I shoot some of the pistols in IDPA, so you can get an accurate round. Makes it even better for you. So that's going to be the end of the video. Post any comments and so forth. I'll attach a short video at the very end of this video talking about the square deal. With that, thank you for watching. Take care and be safe. Guess I was going to talk about the additional powder I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using the 231. I had originally purchased 1 pound to do some test loads for 38 and 357 because Bullseye was hard to find at the time. Now I made a mistake because I was in the process of ordering some 748 for rifle loading, and I had the 231 in my mind, so I ordered the 231. So this is a 1 pound keg, this is an 8 pound keg. So the great thing is that I can use the 231 8 pound keg for future 9mm and 38, 357 loads, also with 40 Smith & Wesson. Had a phone call come in. So that'll probably be in a later video when I start doing test rounds for 38, 357 Magnum, and 40 with this powder. And we'll see how that goes. So the next video, I'll just talk about the square deal. Okay, as I said, I was going to talk about the square deal B. This is pretty much a progressive press. As you can see, it has 4 stages. Got your sizing and decapping, powder, seeding, and crimp. If you watched any of my other videos, when I first got this, I was very amazed at how much ammo you can do. You can do approximately 200 rounds in about 30 minutes. So once I get the test loads done and the pistols have picked their loads, I'll go ahead and do 200 or 300 rounds for each pistol and so forth. And that will be the end of the video. Post any comments, questions, gripes, so forth. Appreciate your time. Thank you for watching.